So I'm going to talk to you about effective annual rates now, or EAR. And EARs are nothing, there's nothing new about this because we've already touched on EAR without calling it that in earlier problems in the earlier video segments on single sums. An effective annual rate is a simple way for you to compare across rates from different lenders. So, a lot of lenders may have rates that vary in terms of APRs, the annual percentage rates. Even if the annual percentage rates are same, the compounding frequency could be different and other things could be different, which make it very difficult to compare the rate quote from lender A with lender B, C, so on. But when you get the numbers as effective annual rates from each of the lenders, then it's comparing apples to apples because they're normalized annual rates, which you can then use to compare across the various rate quotes that you might get from various lenders. And so I will motivate this discussion by asking the obvious, question for which the answer should be obvious to you by now, is an annual rate of 10% always 10%? The answer is it depends. Depends on whether the compounding is annual or more frequent than annual. So under annual compounding, yes, 10% APR equals 10% EAR, but only in the special case of when the compounding frequency is annual. For any other compounding frequency, the two are not the same. And you probably have figured this out by now that the more frequent the compounding, the higher would be the effective annual rate. So here's the formula for the effective annual rate, where I is the annual percentage rate, as always, and then M is the compounding frequency. So the effective annual rate will simply be this formula. You can just simply plug it in, and let's put this into practice right away. So what is the effective annual rate of interest for a loan that has an 18% APR compounded monthly? So here your I is 0.18, 18% reduced to its fractional form, and then M equals 12, and therefore your effective annual rate is almost 20%. So notice that it's different from the APR. The APR is 18%, while the EAR is almost 20%. And the reason for that is because of the compounding frequency, that the effective rate is greater, fairly significantly greater than the APR. So here's another example for you to test out your ideas here that you learned. Which of these, the following two possibilities, gives you a higher return on your investment? A, 4.9% compounded monthly, or 5% rate compounded semi-annually? I'll let you figure that out yourself using the EAR formula, which should be fairly easy now for you. The moral of the story, once again, that I want to harp on is that more frequent the compounding, the faster your money grows. So if it's an investment scenario where obviously you want your money to grow as fast as possible, the greater the compounding frequency, the better it is for you. If you're, of course, on the other side of the coin and the lender is imposing this on you, then obviously it makes the loan that much costlier for you when you're at the receiving end of this. So there, of course, your incentive will be to have the compounding frequency as low as possible or as high as possible, depending on, you want it to be ideally like an annual rate, right? Because that's where the growth of money or the cost would be lowest for you. So keep those things in mind as we move forward.